Hello, 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 my friends. My name is Evelyn Joy, and welcome back to my channel. So I started this video, I started my Get Ready With Me, and I had no sound. So now I'm doing it with the headset. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Hopefully loud and clear. I don't know. So I started off, I put on this Poudriere lipstick. I have a little bit of lip gloss, Shea Moisture that I've had forever. It's probably from Bath & Body Works, probably. I've got my brown LA Colors eyebrow pencil that I just get for $2 from Family Dollar or Dollar General. And I put on a little bit of eyeliner from Dollar Tree, $1 LA Colors. I like that it rolls up. And I put on just a little bit of mascara. I'll probably put on a little bit more. This is the Twisted mascara that I bought from my friend who's a consultant. I should probably know the company, but I have a video with the link if you want to order the Twisted mascara. So what I like about this mascara is it has two brushes. It has a smaller one and a bigger one. So this video is supposed to be me giving kind of a life update because this is my YouTube channel. I just use it kind of as a social media where I keep my friends updated, right? I'm a VIPKID teacher. I'm an OutSchool teacher. I'm a gardener. I'm a mom. I'm a homeschool mom. I'm on a weight loss journey. I'm eating healthier. I've got friends that are interested in maybe knowing an update about me. So, if you're curious what my shirt says, it's a Ronald Reagan quote. I ordered this from a YouTuber named Joel Patrick. Anyway, it says, I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion is already born. And that's exactly the reason I like this quote so much is because it's exactly my first thought when I was 5 years old, when I first ever heard what abortion was. I thought, well, why would anyone be for abortion if the reason they're alive is because their own mom didn't choose abortion? Like, everyone should be pro-life, right? That was my thought process as a kid. So that quote from Ronald Reagan, I have a connection to. I mean, it's logical, right? Like, if you've been born, like, you shouldn't want others to be killed and not have that chance to live. Anyway, so I'm doing my makeup while I'm chatting with you guys. And I also have my Toddy Beauty eyeshadow palette that I'm going to be using. I have my makeup brush that, who knows the brand? I got it years ago. And this cheek blush brush, I've got some cheek blush. I think this is probably from Dollar Tree. So we're going from a, expensive, cheap, got this for free from like a contest. I took a mom's class back when my first was a baby, and I got that for perfect attendance for my mother's class. Anyway, good times, good times. I've got my mirror from Dollar Tree, so I can feel like a princess. I got this mirror for my daughters, but it ended up in my office. Okay, so weight loss journey. How is my weight loss journey going? So I'm doing the Arbonne diet, but I'm not a perfect person at sticking to it perfectly. I'm drinking the fizz drink right now. So this fizz drink, it is made with like, I should probably have the ingredients in front of me. It's basically like a natural sweet, replacement. It has natural caffeine in it, so it's a good replacement if you're addicted to caffeine. So it's the natural alternative for it. It's just a little packet you put in your water. It's got some flavor in it, and so I drink that sometimes. They also have the protein shakes, which I have the chocolate. I'm planning on ordering the chocolate mint and the vanilla. You don't just have to make, you can do anything you want with your protein shake. You can make protein balls, which are kind of like no-bake cookies. You can make a protein shake, you can make all kinds of different shakes. Like you can make a chocolate strawberry shake. You can make make one with lots of spinach in it, whatever you want. But you tend to make it with water. So a lot of times I'll put, to add that extra thickness, sometimes you can put like frozen strawberries, or you can put, I'll put frozen avocado that you can find like already frozen, already diced at Aldi. They sell it. So anyway, you can put all sorts of different things, try different things for your shakes. But so in the chocolate mint one, I've tried some samples. It tastes like, chocolate mint ice cream. So eating healthy doesn't have to be disgusting. It can be delicious, So I rearranged my messy office. I had made a tour, and over here, let me disconnect my computer. Over here, I have my exercise bike and my weights, and I've got a stepper over there. You can't see it exactly, but yeah. So I rearranged my office so that I have a home gym now in my office. So what I had done was I joined the gym. I joined the YMCA. So I was going and I was working out a lot, but I was paying $80 a month for my whole family to have a membership, and I wasn't able to go enough to make it really worth the money. So I decided to use that money instead and buy an exercise bike, because that's mine to keep, and just make my own home gym at home, so that situations like this where I'm snowed in, it's hard hauling all 4 of my kids with me for the childcare and stuff. So anyway, this way I'm going to have my own gym at home. So I'm going to do a little bit more mascara while we're chatting. So have I lost weight yet? It's been less than a month. No, I haven't lost weight yet. Have I gained weight? No, I have not. But I've been learning. You see what happened was I'm learning to cook better, healthier stuff. My kids are getting used to that as well. So rather than just like making pizza and spaghetti and just so much, I just feel like I was making a lot of bready things. I learned how to, we tried cauliflower pizza. I liked it. My kids didn't really eat it. I made zucchini pasta. So I made the zucchini into pasta noodles. Again, I loved it. My kids, not so much fans. I made mac and cheese, but I used cauliflower instead of noodles. My kids, again, not huge fans, but it's okay. It is what it is. But anyway, I'm learning to cook things. So anyway, one thing I really like that I learned how to cook is salmon. One thing my family likes that I learned how to cook is lentils. My family, all of them like lentils. I'm the one that doesn't like lentils that much. I feel like, it's okay. It's kind of like, but yeah, I'm adjusting my palate. I'm learning to appreciate different flavors, right, than what I'm used to. All right, I'm going to put a little bit more mascara on, and we're going to keep chit-chatting. So I was going to talk a little bit about good and bad experiences as an out-school teacher and an out-school parent. Okay, so I've had a couple of negative experiences as an out-school parent just this week. And I don't want to sound complainy, and I don't want to talk bad about another teacher. So I'm still contemplating how I'm going to word this so that I'm not just like ragging on another teacher. But we had a couple of negative experiences. Let's just say when I hire teachers that I know that are like YouTubers and friends that are VIPKID teachers, they are the best. So I have no complaints with them. But when I hire a stranger, someone I don't know, they just don't measure up to the awesome teachers that we've experienced that are friends of mine, So I think VIPKID kind of trains you to be a friendly, encouraging, happy teacher. And some of these teachers are just a little bit too strict and rude for me. I just feel like, wow, some of these people, they're not really user friendly. But I choose to not leave a review if I don't feel like they were a 5-star teacher. If they're a 5-star teacher, I give them 5 stars. I give them raving reviews as an out-school parent. As an out-school teacher, I try to be gracious. I try to be understanding. So then when I hire an out-school teacher that isn't that way, it's a little bit like, it's a reminder to me, the perspective of the parent, and to extend grace. Okay. So I'm going to open my palette. I'm going to show you. This is the Tati Beauty palette. I am not a, whatever you call it. I just ordered it because I saw it on a YouTube video and love the natural colors, but also the glitter. And I think this was like $24, which for me, a person who shops at the dollar store, that was a big investment. But you know, there's a lot of colors on there. I can get a lot of life out of it. That's why I use it all the time, because I want to get my money's worth out of it. So I'm not one that buys palettes. So anyway, but I am impressed by this one. I feel like it was worth the money. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it. So I have to be careful though, because it's easy to go a little bit dark and think, oh, this is such a beautiful lush color, put it on. And then I'm more of a natural tones person. So I can go overboard and be like, oh my goodness, I did not realize I was doing quite so bright. So I'm going to go with this Aurora Matte, which is basically my skin tone. I'm just going to do like up here. I like that to be like a little bit lighter than my skin tone right up there. It just kind of gives a nice little feeling to it. So I've got 4 people watching. I started my first video and I had a couple comments. Thank you guys if that was you, telling me I had no sound. So now I'm doing it with my headset on. Tell me if you can hear me. Say hello in the chat box. So now I'm going with the Story Metallic. Now this one is a darker shade, so I have to be careful not to put too much, because I can get overboard sometimes and I'll think it looks great, but then it'll be just too dark, you know? You know what I mean? So I think it's because, I don't know. I like colorful things, but I also don't want to look like a clown. You know what I mean? So I'll like look at it and it's so pretty, and then I put it on. It's like a bit much, you know? So now I'm going with Metallic Aura. This one right here for my eyelids. So as an out-school teacher, I'm really, really enjoying teaching Spanish classes. I choose to extend grace when parents message me and they say, oh, I'm so sorry we missed class. We had a funeral. I extend grace and I give a refund, but I always mark the refund as a gift so that they understand that this is not out school policy that I have to refund them, because technically I don't have to, but I set it as a gift and I say, this is a gift from a teacher. I'm so sorry for your loss. I look forward to teaching you next week, because to me, it is more valuable to keep a student. Oh, sorry, I should say what I'm putting on. I'm putting on Aura Glitter. So this one right here. Love the glitter, but I try to, like, you know, I can go overboard and go crazy and be very glittery. So if I even occasionally extend grace, if they say, oh my goodness, I forgot. If it's their first time forgetting, I'll give them the refund and I'll say, I look forward to seeing you next week. I understand I forgot before, I'm a parent too. So that's what I do sometimes, you know. But if they don't send me a message and they don't say anything and they don't show up to class, I don't give them a refund, because at least tell me what's going on, you know. Communication is key. So my friends, I'm going to put a little bit of cheek blush on because I'm pasty white. So as a parent, on OutSchool, my experience has been very different. I have been the parent that their student is crying and throwing a fit and doesn't want to go to class. Both my 5-year-old and my 6-year-old, that's been them. I will not sign my 3-year-old up for a class because he's too little. He will not sit still for a class for sure. The main issue that I have 4 kids. I have a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So the issue that the teachers that don't know me, the issue they've been having is the fact that I have kids that might get on the screen. So a lot of OutSchool teachers, they really take issue with, you have 1 kid signed up for this class. You paid for 1 kid. You can't have other kids showing up. Okay, my 6-year-old's taking the class. Chill. Like, she's got siblings running around that might get on the screen. They're not taking the class. You know what I mean? Like, the other thing is, I was also that parent that was helping my student with a question, because the teacher I'm trying not to get heated. I'm trying to be polite, but my daughter doesn't know how to tell time. I'm working on it with her. So I signed her up for a how to tell time part 1 and part 2 with a teacher, okay? So how to tell time part 1, you would think that would start at the beginning, right? But this teacher is expecting them already to know how to tell time, and she hasn't taught anything. So she's just quizzing them. And then she's getting mad that my 5-year-old is around and that my 3-year-old's around. Look, in my house, kids run around. That's like, I can't. So I had to be like, no, you guys have to go to another room. When she takes her class in the living, it's just like, lady, get over yourself. Because when I'm teaching, I'm fine with if there's, a sibling around or whatever. It is what it is. That's just, life is chaotic, okay? And, you may disagree with me. That's fine. Tell me in the comments. Go for it. But I just feel like these teachers, they're too preoccupied with, like, how many kids are on the screen or whatever, and just, like, teach. You know what I mean? So you're supposed to be teaching about telling time. So then she's quizzing my daughter, what time is this on the clock? And it's not just like an easy one. It's a complicated one. So I was that parent. I wasn't answering for her, but I was saying, Esther, look at the shorthand. That's the hour hand. What's it pointing to? So I was trying to help her. And this rude, I swear, she was already on my bad side at this point. This rude teacher snaps at me and was telling me, Mom, I'm going to help her or whatever. Or like, but you're sitting there, you're asking her questions she doesn't know the answer to. And I'm trying to help her figure out the answer. I wasn't telling her the answer. But this rude teacher was like snapping at me. So I snapped back at the teacher. And I just walked out of the room. I was like, okay, good luck with that. And I kept getting the notification at the top of the out school, like, leave a review for the time class, leave a review for the time class, leave a review for the time class. I'm like, I will not. Because if I do, I'm going to go off on that review and I'm going to be that rude parent. But I'm like, this teacher, I was not satisfied with her teaching. Like, I just felt like she was so rude. And then today, okay, you guys, as teachers, I'm sure you'll disagree with my perspective on this. All the time, I try to sign in the past, I've tried to sign my 5-year-old up for classes, and then she'll throw a fit and refuse to take the class. So then my 6-year-old will take the class for her. So I've stopped signing her up for classes, with the exception of if it's a cheap price and it's a friend of mine, like for tomorrow, like both my girls are signed up. We'll see if my 5-year-old participates. The thing is, she does her own thing. She's still learning. She's still learning how to participate in online classes. So my 6-year-old was signed up. She's been wanting to take like a dance class, like a ballet class. So I signed her up for the Elsa. The teacher was dressed up as Elsa, the Elsa dance class, right? So she wakes up. I get her dressed in her Elsa dress. Deborah's interested in participating, so I dressed her up in her Anna dress. Deborah's not signed up for the class. So my plan was just to have Esther on the screen, have her sister sitting quietly next to her, have it muted. They don't know she's there. But Deborah, was excited about the class, so she was on the screen too or whatever. You know what this teacher did? This teacher gave a couple of warnings to my daughter saying, you're the only one that can be on the screen. You're the only one that can be on the screen, which as a mom of 4, that's difficult for me to begin with. My bad. If I sign up for this teacher again, I would sign up both of my daughters and pay it. But my issue is too, I'm trying to sign up for another class. There's only one spot left. I want to sign both my daughters up. I can't. There's only one spot left. So now I can't sign up for the class. It's frustrating. So then, you know what this teacher did? The teacher kicked my daughter out of the class. So they only took the first 10 minutes of the 30-minute class. Luckily for her, it didn't absolutely break my daughter's hearts and they didn't cry their eyes out. It didn't ruin their whole day. I could have totally left her a 1-star review and said, like, lady, how are you going to kick a little girl out of your class? Seriously. So just for having, like, 2 students on the screen, mostly I was keeping just Esther on the screen, but Deborah was showing up sometimes on the screen. And so she kicked her out. And so she gave me a refund and I was like, okay. And Oh, well, but I'm just, those two teachers, I'm not going to be signing up for them again, so as a teacher, as a Spanish teacher, I sometimes have siblings on the screen and I'm fine with it. I've sometimes had parents write to me an apology like, I'm so sorry, I kept it muted. He had his 1-year-old brother next to him. I can't really help it or whatever. I'm like, I'm a mama. I understand. So like, I feel like as an out-of-school teacher, you have to extend grace. You have to understand the perspective of the parent. Maybe by me being a gracious teacher who extends grace to the parents, I have a little bit higher expectation that I treat others the way I want to be treated. So not being treated nicely, it a little bit perturbs me. So I can understand why some parents would leave less than 5 stars. So for those classes where my kids were treated less than, I didn't leave reviews. And I'm not going to hire those teachers again. Like I had hearted those teachers like, oh, that teacher teaches how to tell time. So I put like follow, like heart. And after she took the class and the teacher was so, from my perspective, was very, very rude. I unhearted her. I unfollowed her. And then again, when my kids were kicked out of the class today, I unfollowed that teacher. I'm not going to be taking more classes with that teacher. And I feel bad for that teacher because that teacher probably felt like, oh, I have to, oh, poor me. I have to kick this student out because blah, blah, blah. But okay, on VIPKID and on OutSchool, I've taught students that had siblings around. And for me, that's, as a mom with 4 kids, maybe I'm coming from a perspective that I just understand a little bit more. Anyway, it is what it is. But okay, so working out is going well. The workout that I enjoy doing the most is I enjoy, one second, having the 5-pound weights. And while I'm riding the exercise bike, I'm doing this, and I'm doing the weights so that I'm working out my legs while I'm working out my arms at the same time. So these are only 5-pound weights, but it's just enough that it's getting my heart rate up. So I'll do 1 mile in 5.5 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. And I'll see how many miles I can do. So it's like 5.5 minutes on, 5-minute break, 5.5 minutes on, 5-minute break. Also, I have a stepper. The stepper is not that great, but I'll do 100 steps, which 100 steps to me is 200 steps. It counts 100 steps per foot. So it's, I feel like that's 200 steps, like 100 steps per foot, but it counts it as 100 steps. So I'll do 100 steps. And I might set some goals of doing more steps on the stepper. But yeah, you'll have to watch my tour of my office video to see what that's all about. So I enjoy doing that with these weights. I've got 1 3-pound weight. I need to get the other one for that set. That's more for my daughter because it's pink and she wants to do stuff with me. I've got the 5-pound weights for me. I bought 8-pound weights, but I haven't worked up to them yet. I would like to get maybe some 6 and 7-pound weights. At the gym, I had worked myself up to, I started at 3 pounds. No, I started like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds. And then I did like 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, all the way up to 4 miles. So I am, every time you work out, your heart's a muscle, your lungs are, your body is getting stronger, and each workout you can push yourself a little bit farther, do a little bit more, do a little bit more, do a little bit more. So things like my first time ever working out, my side hurt. One time working out, my chest hurt. So you have to listen to your body when your body says you need a break, and don't do too much. But you'll see as you work out more and do more, you won't have those pains because your body is adjusting to level of activity. You know what I mean? So anyway, so homeschooling, let's talk about how homeschooling's going. So we were in a homeschool group that I loved, But it was just 5 families, and a couple of the families couldn't do the second semester because of schedule conflicts and stuff. And so we're currently not in a homeschool co-op, and it's not very fun not being in a homeschool co-op. So we are enrolling, I believe, in March. We're enrolling for the coming school year, August, because I'm basically going to have a kindergartner and a first grader next year. So this year's been like unofficial kindergarten, first grade for Esther. So next year is going to be like unofficial first, second grade for Esther. So this year, what I've been working on is we've been building up our home library with easy reader books. And we've been practicing reading so much so that my daughter Esther is an excellent like first grade level reader. And Deborah is beginning to read her first ever little books. And Joshy, who's 3, he's beginning to read words and spell words, and he loves letters and spelling. He's kind of obsessed. And so Joshy can read a book about going potty while refusing to pee on the potty. So he sat on the potty reading potty books all day yesterday, and he held it in the whole entire time till he had a bath and he peed in the bath. So it is what it is. But working on potty training my 3-year-old. Kids have their area of genius, and his area of genius is definitely more intellectual, right? And his brain intellectual. He was a late talker. So again, it's so interesting, but he loves letters and numbers and counting and reading and spelling. So awesome. My daughter, Deborah, she's 5. She's strong-willed, so things have to be her idea. So she likes gardening. She likes helping me in the kitchen cooking. She's never helped me with the dishes before. Esther's interested in helping with the dishes. Joshy's interested in helping with the dishes. I don't make any of my kids help me with the dishes. I would honestly like to do it myself. But anytime they show interest, I let them help. She hasn't showed interest in that, so she hasn't helped with that. She also doesn't like cleaning, so cleaning up our toys and stuff like that. So anyway, in homeschooling, I've been working on just teaching them a love of reading, because if you know how to read, you really can learn about anything. So the other night we were practicing on counting money as well. They each have their own piggy bank, so we counted how much money was in each piggy bank. So with Esther, we counted 2 piggy banks worth, and then with Deborah, we counted the other 2 piggy banks. And so just practicing counting money. Yesterday with Dollar Tree princess and pony flashcards, we were practicing math facts, and it was, this was so funny. So one of the math facts was 11 minus 0. So I was, making a word problem to kind of explain it so they can visualize in their head why minus 0, the number stays the same, right? So I was saying to Deborah, imagine you have 11 apples and I want to take your apples. So I come to you, but I decide not to take any. So I take 0 apples. How many apples do you still have? The answer is supposed to be 11, right? So she goes, yeah, but I can share. I thought that was so cute. I was talking about, you have 11 apples. I don't take any away. How many do you still have? And she was like, yeah, but I can share my apples with you. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so cute right now. So anyway, we've been enjoying reading all the time. So while I'm washing dishes, hey, Esther, come read me a book. While I'm giving her brother a bath, hey, Esther, come over here, read me a book. While I'm cooking, hey, come read me a book while I'm cooking, First thing in the morning. Oh, that's the other thing I did. So this year with COVID, we got all 3 of our kids iPads, all 3 of our big kids iPads. But the iPads were getting a little bit out of control because I pay $10 a month for ABC Mouse for them to do their educational program. But they each had like YouTube Kids on their iPads. All they were doing was watching videos all the time. And then my daughter, Deborah, who's 5, she kept downloading all these game apps, which I had put a few game apps on there. So anyway, I decided to regain control of the iPads. So I took the iPads, I put password protection so that they can't turn on the iPad without a password. and I'm the one with the password, not them. They can't, you know, download a free app or anything without a password. Again, I don't know how my 5-year-old has figured out how to download it without my permission, my putting in the code. I have to figure that out. They were figuring out how to watch YouTube videos on the Internet Explorer since I got rid of the app. So I've been like figuring out how to block all that. So anyway, they're smart. So they have PBS Kids video app, which is free, so that they can watch educational videos. So they can watch videos about learning how to read, learning math, learning how to handle our emotions, you know, potty training, all that stuff. So they've got that, you know, Daniel Tiger, Word World, all the good PBS Kids educational videos, right? Then they've got ABC Mouse educational game, which has all the school stuff on there, right? And they each have their own account that's set to their own level. So they're practicing writing letters, they're practicing reading and math and everything. So then I put some other educational games on there, like puzzles and stuff. So my son can do like jigsaw puzzles, because that boy can lose all of our puzzle pieces all over the floor, and it can get a little bit stressful. He loves puzzles, but we tend to like, he tends to, you know, put pieces down the heating and air conditioning duct and vents and stuff, and I don't like him hiding the pieces everywhere. So I like him having it on the iPad because it helps my sanity trying to keep the house clean. So right now it is -7 degrees outside. I am planning on gardening. Oh, next I'm going to talk about gardening. So anyway, homeschooling is going well, but I recently realized I need to practice telling time. So as I've started working on the clock and telling time with Esther, practicing counting money and math facts. They take a math facts class with Cindy Bennett. My friend Hillary is just starting on OutSchool. She's got her first class tomorrow. Both my girls are signed up for her class, a class about show and tell your favorite colors. So they're going to be probably running around and finding things that are different colors to show their teacher. It's going to be so much fun. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. So, yeah, and I teach Spanish classes online, and they're going awesome. I teach younger kids and older kids. It's so funny because I've seen memes that are so true about how younger kids are all like, oh, look at my cat, and this is my bed, and this is my dad, and this is this, and this is that, blah, blah, blah. They want to get off topic, and they want to talk about everything. Then the older kids have their cameras off, and they're muted, and they're not saying anything, and the teacher's like, is anybody there? And it can sometimes be those two extremes so I enjoy teaching a younger group and an older group in the same day to, you know, because one takes more energy and the other one, you know, takes more energy in a different way. You're trying to draw out that conversation from the older kids, trying to get them to turn on their camera and participate. And the younger kids, it's like, okay, buddy, yeah, everybody's got their hand raised. We're not going to do that right now. The teacher's going to talk for a minute, and then we'll take questions towards the end, right? So it's interesting, you know, classroom management with 7 or 8 different students in the class that are either, you know, really energetic or really shy or really like don't want to be there, depending, right? So the older kids, I think they just want to be cool. That's why they're so quiet. But anyway, it is what it is. So let's talk gardening. So there's still snow on the ground. I built an arch and 2 raised beds for the arch in my garden, and I have plans for building at least 3 more raised beds. So I have strawberry plants that are under the surface, you know, they're ready to arise and emerge. They're underneath the ground. The roots are there. They're ready for that 80-degree weather so that they can spread everywhere. Strawberry plants are awesome. I'll probably buy some more strawberry plants, put them in there, but one raised bed is going to be full of strawberry plants, hopefully. I've got my blackberry plant that is, you know, some of the leaves are still green even though there's snow outside, and it's ready. It's there, you know, on my trellis. It's ready to burst back to life as soon as it's warm, right? Then the rest of my things I need to plant. I've got some potatoes inside that are, you know, I had a whole bag of potatoes that were like ready to be planted, and my mother-in-law came over and cooked all the potatoes. So now I've got some more that are getting ready. It's fine. It's fine. She was like, "Oh no, these potatoes, they're starting to sprout. I've got to cook them." I'm like, "They're starting to sprout. They're great for the garden, but you know, it is what it is. You know, got some more. It's cool." They are store-bought potatoes, but they sprout and then you plant them and they're great. So I've got seeds for tomato plants, but I'm also planning on buying some starter tomato plants. I've got plans to buy at least one blueberry plant, maybe up to like 4, maybe up to 6. I don't know. But the blueberry plants need to be spaced out. Blueberry plants can live up. My dad has some blueberry plants that are 20 years old. So if you take care of them, they can live on forever. Last year, I had some starter blueberry plants. Since I was brand new to gardening, I did not treat them right. I transplanted them and they did not like being moved and they died. So this year, I know more what I'm doing. So I also would love to grow a mulberry bush. Mulberries grow here just wild sometimes. Just, it's so nice. So I'm planning on going to a tree nursery nearby and asking if they have any mulberry starter plants or if they know where I could get one. So I definitely want to do that. And so last year I did tomato plants in buckets. I still have those buckets and I'm trying to figure out which plants I want to put in there. Last year, so on my arched trellis, I want to try things that I haven't tried before. Plants that have to climb really high, like green bean plants and maybe black bean plants. I need to find out if black beans grow in Kansas. So I'm in zone 6A. So if you know if black beans grow here, I would assume they do. I don't know. I need to look that up. Pretty sure they do, right? So anyway, I want to grow some beans and some green beans. Definitely want to do bell peppers again, but this time I'm going to put a stake and have them supported, like connected to a stake, like a you know, maybe a 3-foot wood stick in the ground so that they have a little bit more support. Last year, I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just learning everything from the beginning. So some of them kind of a little bit needed some more support. So now I know what I'm doing a little bit more of an idea of how each plant, what kind of needs each plant have, because there are plants that need support. There are plants that need more water or less water or more sun or less sun, and you just have to get to know the personality of that kind of plant so that you can meet its needs so that it can flourish, because these plants, it doesn't take a green thumb. It just takes a little bit of knowledge and some sunshine and some seeds and some water. Starter plants are great. Some plants are easier to grow than others, and some of it depends on where you live, what time of year you start. For me, my estimated last frost date, the safest time to plant is in May for me where I live, because we've had snow as late as April some years here where I live. So I have to wait till May, but that doesn't stop me from building and planting. So I'm planning on building at least like 3 more raised beds, maybe even more. I'm planning on getting a lot more stepping stones. So I'm trying to put stepping stones all the way around my garden so that we don't have to like cut the grass there. But something I realized, if I put the stepping stones down, the square stepping stones, even if they're side by side, it's better to put some cardboard down before you put down the stepping stones, because if you don't put like cardboard or something down underneath the stepping stones, then you still have grass growing in between your stepping stones, which is immensely annoying. Anyway, the reason I'm using stepping stones is stepping stones, I'm getting for like less than $2 per square foot. And if I were to pay someone to put sidewalk in there, like put cement in there, it would cost $5 per square foot. That adds up so fast. So anyway, last year I had hired a guy to build a couple of raised beds for me. And I also got some free wood that they even were willing to deliver for me free, that were like railroad planks. So anyway, I've got 4 raised beds. And then I also got some free cinder blocks, and I built another raised bed that is I also put a trellis behind it. That's where the black, what's it called? The blackberry plant is. So what's awesome about this year is I'm adding on to what I did last year. So that's the great thing about gardening is that each year you can build onto your garden and do more. So it's like I already have the structures from last year. I already have the knowledge from last year. I'm gaining knowledge to grow more. Thrive with Mary says, Evelyn, your gardening project sounds so exciting. I can't wait to watch your garden grow this year. Thank you so much. So I've been thinking about how last year I also had a kiddie pool that I drilled a bunch of holes in, put a bunch of dirt and soil in, and I had a bunch of squash plants in there. And this year, I'm not going to put squash plants in there because squash plants really attract bugs like crazy, squash bugs. And I had a big infestation, which ended up later on destroying my cantaloupe plants. Oh, so I definitely want to do cantaloupe and watermelon again. I definitely want to do zucchini. So I needed to have a plan for when those squash bugs come along. But I decided I don't want to do them in the kiddie pool because I feel like their roots need to go deeper maybe. And that might be why I didn't have quite as much production from my squash plants. So I'm living and learning, and I'm going to try just in the ground, in the raised beds, doing zucchini. Or maybe I'll do zucchini, maybe climbing up onto the trellis. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. So Thrive with Mary says, have you tried hanging tomato plants from planter bags? I've been wanting to try that. I haven't tried that. But one thing I have been thinking about is maybe doing potatoes in the there's like potato containers that you can just like open up the side and get it out. Because my issue with growing potatoes last year is you could be digging and accidentally slice a potato in half, or you could be digging and you don't know when you're done digging up potatoes. You don't know if there's some still in the ground or what. So I want to try doing some of those potatoes in the bag. I've heard that doing tomatoes upside down, I've heard that that's pointless. Well, I mean, if you want to try it, that's great. I'm not planning on hanging anything. That's not something I'm planning on trying. What I have is I used baby gates, right? I had baby gates that I used as trellises, and I tied them together, and I nailed on little mini raised beds onto them. And I made another one this year. It's just continuing it on. And it's to create a barrier because my kids have their slide right there. It's to create a barrier to keep my kids from they can go in the garden, but when you're going in the garden, it's not like your play area. Like if they're kicking a soccer ball or whatever, anyway, it's a barrier for them, but it's also a trellis for the tomatoes. But I realized that my tomatoes were getting up past the baby gates. So what I did this year is I put 6-foot bamboo poles in, and I'm going to tie them. Then it snowed and I haven't done it yet. I'm going to tie them to that. And then I bought a trellis that came in the mail that's still in the box once the snow melts. And I'm connecting the trellis to the top of the baby gates. So it's gonna be like baby gates, poles all along, and then the trellis at the top as well. So I'm gonna be getting some more zip ties and tying that all together, and I'm gonna have the tomato plants having that for support, because something about tomato plants, if you let them grow wild, they'll grow along the ground. But in growing along the ground, they take up more space, and they tend to get more like disease and problems and stuff like that. So yeah. So the reason people use like tomato cages, which I've never bought one because they're so expensive. I'm cheap, so I try to look for like cheaper ways to do things. And so last year I grew tomato plants in buckets, and I used the poles, the bamboo poles, the 6-foot bamboo poles, and I tied them all together at the top and stuff. And that was fine. But I also had tomatoes in the ground. I noticed that the tomatoes in the ground, the plants were healthier, the tomatoes were bigger, and my tomato plants were much happier. I say happier because I feel that they show their personality, right? They were much happier when plants are happy when their roots can go anywhere they want to. Don't inhibit my roots. I want them to go everywhere so that I can have luscious, you know, leaves and big tomatoes. So tomato plants in a bucket, they were like, this is fine. Small little cherry tomatoes, small little leaves, a lot of withering. Basically, that's the plant kind of complaining like, okay, well, you're going to limit me. I'm going to limit my production, right? So if those tomato plants had been in the ground, just like I had some tomato plants in the ground, much more luscious, much more. So now I've got those buckets. I got the buckets for free. I drilled holes in the bottom of them, and I, you know, filled them up with, you know, at the bottom you put dead leaves and, you know, like little sticks and stuff, and then you put some like regular dirt and some soil, and then you put like the plant. So this year, all my tomato plants are going to be in the ground, but I am going to be using the buckets. But what should I use it for? If I used it for potatoes, I wouldn't have that nice door on the side that you can easily get your tomatoes out of. So potatoes out of. So I don't think I'm going to do that for potatoes. I've been thinking of doing carrots maybe in the buckets, because the thing with carrots is carrots don't like too much water. So if it's raining, I would like my carrots to be in a container so that if it's just raining, I can move the containers to my porch so that they don't totally get flooded. Because I noticed that my carrots, when they didn't have too much water, they did great. But when they have too much water, it did not do well. So I got carrots that are sweet and short and fat. And also another thing about carrots is last year I thought dump a bunch of carrot seeds. I didn't realize that my brain last year, I did not fully comprehend that each seed is a plant, or for a carrot, each seed is a carrot. So I didn't realize you don't take a whole packet of seeds and just like dump them. You need to like spread them out. I know, crazy, I know, but I didn't like fully think about, wow, this is how it's done, you know? So I really was starting as a beginner last year. So this year I'm adding on to my knowledge from last year. So, last year, my eggplants grew really well, but then when I harvested it, I was like, well, but I don't like eating eggplants. I started growing radishes last year, but I'm like, well, I don't like radishes, so I didn't actually transplant them to outside. A lot of the seeds that I started inside, because of my lack of knowledge, I didn't know how to harden my plants. And so growing by seed outside or from starter plants outside is much better than starting the seed inside, because seeds that are started inside, they need a lot of help to get acclimated to outside, otherwise they just die. So basically, a lot of the knowledge I have from last year is going to make my garden bigger and better this year. Yeah. Okay. Thrive with Mary. So Mary says drainage is key for carrot. Drainage is key for carrot drainage. That is so funny, LOL. Yes. So we did harvest our carrots last year, but they were small because they were in a container and they were close together. Then I tried doing some in a container later, and it just rained too much on it, and they died because too much water. So I tried cauliflower starter plants, and they just got eaten up by bugs. So apparently cauliflower smells like candy to bugs. So there's certain, there are some plants, like, for example, watermelon plants. There are some plants that produce without you even trying. They just spread and go everywhere. So my third try with watermelon was successful last year. So my first try with watermelon was watermelon seeds inside, and they were too leggy. They died. They didn't make it to the transplant outside. My second plant that I tried, my second time trying watermelon, I got some starter plants from a farm. They were in styrofoam cups, and I had brought the cups outside. They were still in the cups. I hadn't put them in the ground yet, and it rained real hard, and it just drowned them. My third try, I put seeds in a container outside. I thought that I put 5 seeds in a container I got from Dollar Tree and drilled holes in and put soil in. And I thought, great, the vines will just go out of this container and I'll just keep it in this container. Quickly, it outgrew the container and I put it in a raised bed. It took up half the raised bed and then it went all the way out of the raised bed. It produced a lot of watermelon plants and it was awesome. So I loved that. With cantaloupe, I tried starting cantaloupe from seed inside, didn't work. Bought the cantaloupe seeds, brought the cantaloupe starter plants from the farm, also got drowned along with my watermelon plants. And then I bought a starter plant, one little $2 starter plant, measly little thing turned into this huge viney plant that produced just tons and tons of cantaloupe, and it was so awesome. So this year, I'm going to be growing cantaloupe. I'm going to be growing watermelon, but I'm going to start it as seed outside, and just bigger and better, man. Last year, I didn't harvest any strawberries, but my strawberry plants take like a year or two to really spread out and produce. So last year was kind of my beginning of that. Blueberries, I'm starting over this year because the blueberry plants I had last year, I didn't know what I was doing. They're really sensitive plants when they're first starting off and they died. But they can live for a lifetime. My dad has 20-year-old blueberry plants. So I'm trying again this year. But I'm going to follow the rules of the blueberry plant and try my best to meet all of its needs so that I probably won't harvest that many blueberries this year, but in future years I will. So, and I really, really have the desire to have a mulberry bush because those are native to my area and they grow so well here. And I just have wonderful, fond memories as a child of picking mulberries in my backyard. And I want my kids to have those same kind of memories. So I'm looking forward to bell peppers. Oh, bell peppers last year were awesome. My kids so enjoyed eating bell peppers fresh off the plant. You know, picking cherry tomatoes, so much fun. Love, love, love my kids getting involved and enjoying gardening. Last year, I didn't even mean to have my kids learn about gardening that much. I got them a swing and a slide, and I'm like, okay, good. You've got, you know, your soccer goal and your swing and your slide. You go play over there. I'm going to garden over here. But they constantly wanted to do gardening with me. And so I'm going to do marigolds again. Marigolds are a good plant that attracts the right kind of bugs and detracts the right kind of bugs. So marigolds are said to keep the worms that like to get in the tomato plants away, and marigolds attract all those bumblebees. Oh my goodness, we had so many bumblebees all over our tons of marigolds that we grew. My daughters each, I think they each had a half a packet or maybe each had a packet of seeds of marigolds. And at first it seemed like nothing was going to happen. And then we had so many millions of marigolds, maybe hundreds of marigolds, and they were covered in bumblebees at one point. And the bumblebees didn't sting any of us. It was just really cool to see. So anyway, we're going to grow some of those this year again. So yeah, interesting stuff. Gardening really is about learning the needs of your plants and meeting their needs. Certain plants love hot weather. Certain plants love rain, but just meeting their needs. For example, right now in my kitchen, what I have is I have an aloe vera plant. And it wasn't really growing bigger. And then I watched my friend Dani's video and I noticed that her dirt is a lot deeper for her aloe vera plants that are doing really well. And so what I did was I transplanted it. I put it in deeper dirt and I believe it's going to start doing a lot better. So I got, it looks like a palm tree. It looks like a little baby palm tree. I got a little tree for sale. And it likes rain and sunshine because it's a little baby palm tree. It's not really a palm tree, whatever it is. And so it definitely needs more water than my aloe vera plant because one's made for the desert, one's made for tropical. And here I am in Kansas with these plants that are looking out the window at the snow like, where am I? Good times, good times. But yeah, you get to know your plants communicate with you, you find out their needs and you meet their needs. And some plants are more fickle than others, and some plants, they just need time, and some plants, they just need a little bit of care. Tomato plants, let me talk about tomato plants. Let me tell you about tomato plants. Tomato plants need you to prune them. They need you to pick their tomatoes when they're ripe, and then they continue producing and they do really well. So yeah. Oh, hello. I have someone that said we are not in Kansas anymore. Such a beautiful environment. Thank you. Yeah, it seems like a great place in the summer times to grow, right? Late spring, summer, and early fall is a good time to grow here. We have from May to September is our time that there's no frost, that we can really grow plants. I, for one, am so thankful that I'm not dependent on my garden in order to eat, but I'm very much researching how people lived, during the Great Depression, how people lived off the land, how people lived off of growing their own stuff, how people in other countries can survive off of their own stuff. And so basically I've been learning more about growing food and preserving it. I have not yet learned to can, but for example, this year I'm hoping to learn, like last year I didn't do any beans, but this year I'm going to do some green beans and some black beans. So this year, I'm probably going to be drying the black beans, and I'm probably going to be freezing the green beans. So it's not necessarily canning for those things, but, growing some things that we can enjoy in the wintertime, potatoes can last. It's real interesting stuff. It's amazing. During this time that there's snow on the ground, I can still watch videos and research how to grow different kinds of plants. And I'm so thankful for YouTube because I'm a visual learner. So reading a book, they might have an illustration or something in it, but watching a video, you can see people actually show the plants and show what works for them and talk about, as they're talking about the plants, they're showing the plants. It's so amazing that it's free to watch YouTube videos, and you can look up, how to grow all sorts of kinds of different plants. And it's so amazing to see, people in Australia with a garden and people in Ireland with a garden. Just like so amazing to see different climates and what they can grow, and just so cool to see all different kinds of gardening styles. And it's amazing, especially in 2021 and 2020. It's amazing to see people my age growing a love for gardening, because it's kind of like something that's making a comeback. I mean, it's never gone away, but it's become popular again to grow your own food. And I so love watching videos of people that live off the land, and it's so interesting, and we're so blessed that we have a big yard. So anyway, thanks so much for watching my humble little YouTube video. I did my makeup because I'm going to be teaching online. I appreciate that I can teach from home. I appreciate that it's legal, that I can homeschool my kids, and I can grow my own garden. It's interesting because of the pandemic. I sort of was forced to learn to homeschool and forced to learn to garden, but I so appreciate it. It's interesting how positive things can come out of negative circumstances, and learning new things and building my own home gym. Those have all been very good things. So as far as my weight loss journey goes, I don't believe my weight loss journey is going to be this big, huge thing where it's like, well, this 300-pound person lost 200 pounds in a year or something like that, you know? But it's more going to be, I'm learning to be more active and take better care of myself. It's the unseen, you know? I can't see my gut health. I can't see my heart health. But perhaps I'm going to have a longer life because of it. So maybe eventually I could lose 100 pounds. But at the moment, quick weight loss is not the goal. It's making healthier choices. Also, my kids are learning my habits. Everything I do, they're my little mirrors. So they'll be like, Mommy, can we get candy? Mommy, can we get pizza? And I'm like, oh, we're not doing that right now, but we can make, you know, we can do this instead, or we can make this instead. We're making a little bit healthier choices now. We're not really doing that right now. And they, you know, they hop on board and they learn how to eat healthier right along with me. They ask me, you know, can we go to the gym? I'm like, well, I built my own home gym so that we can save money and not have to go to the gym as much. So it's interesting. It's interesting learning. This pandemic has taught me to bloom more implanted. So from home, how can I turn this into a positive thing, right? How can I build a home gym and work out at home? How can I learn to grow my own food? How can I learn how to homeschool? How can I, you know, what can I do better? How can I make money from home? How can I teach more classes online? You know, it's really interesting. So I'm so thankful for this last year. That's been a time of really growing up for me, because I think maturing and learning a lot. And it's such a blessing. The things I've learned during this time, it's something that I won't ever forget. And my kids are learning right alongside me as I'm learning how to cook healthier meals. They're learning to cook healthier meals because they always want to do everything I'm doing. As I'm learning to garden, they're learning to garden. As I'm learning to work out, they're getting more active and doing things with me. And so the interesting thing is, whatever you grow up with, that's your normal. That's your perspective of what normal is. So having a healthy home, having a healthy, happy home is their normal. So that's what, you know, that's what they're used to. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming to my live video. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give a thumbs up if you want to. If you're interested in what my shirt says, it says, I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion is already born. Ronald Reagan. Food for thought. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.